So today I received a little package from Banggood, and it's an Aurora 90. So what's so special about this quad? I would say the size. So this Aurora 90 is 90, let's try to figure out slowly, 90 millimeters from motor to motor, and makes it slightly bigger than a tiny whoop, for example. And the cool thing about this is that it's a brushless, a micro brushless micro quad, I would call it. So it has OSD included. It has it's an F3 flight controller already with beta flight included on it. 5.8 VTX. I'm not sure what's the power. Maybe it's 25 milliwatt, but I'll find that out shortly. And a little LED strip on the back, which I guess can be controlled through your remote. Now there's several versions, and this one is specific for FR Sky or Free Sky. You can also get the Fly Sky version or the DSM2 DSMX version. What else is in the package? A couple of extra props. Never used this type of mini quad before, so it'll be nice to review it. There's some zip ties for some reason. There's a little screwdriver with an Allen key, an elastic band, a power adapter, and the package actually brought a converter from European to UK. The manual, and then I guess this is the battery. So this is a 2-cell, it says ATC, but well, we'll have to check that out. 450 milliamps. It's nice. And I guess this is the charger. Yeah, oh, that's nice. It's a 2-cell, 3-cell charger from Ichin. That's pretty much it. So the size comparison, let me get my tiny whoop, is not that much bigger than a tiny whoop. But what I'm really curious to know is obviously how well or how much better it flies than a tiny whoop. Tiny whoop is not that bad. You can get pretty savage motors that make it almost like a real quad, but at the end of the day, when you drop out of the sky, it's gonna like wobble from everywhere. So first, I'm gonna try and fly this without changing anything in the PIDs or anything in the beta flight target that it brings, just to see how it flies out of the box. And then I'm gonna do a second flight with, depending if it's good or bad, I'll do a second flight with PIDs a little bit more trimmed for this, if necessary at all. Well, let's go and see. So here we are back, and I was quite impressed at how well this performed, considering it's like a little micro quad that has some super tiny brushless motors and ESCs. But I did manage to find some issues with it. The first of all, and kind of important, is that the LEDs that it has in the back, unfortunately it doesn't seem that the flight controller has enough power to supply to everything. It has like OSD and LED and buzzer and everything else. And what I noticed happening is that when it's flying, it basically just resets midair, and you'd end up crashing. So as soon as I disconnected the LEDs from the flight controller, I didn't have any more problems. And I've seen other reviews that flag the exact same problem. So that's a bit bad, but it can be easily fixed by just removing the LEDs, which again is not ideal. The other thing that really annoys me is that in order to access any type of configuration, you have to connect the USB to that. Now you can't, basically, not without unscrewing a lot of things, which I actually didn't. So I ended up not installing any newer firmware, but you can still configure your PIDs and all of other settings using the OSD. So the OSD luckily allows you to do that, but it would still be important to access the firmware by connecting a USB cable. So you can update the firmware or change any other settings on the flight controller. I can't see any easy way to do that. Maybe I just didn't look hard enough, but as far as I can see, you'd have to take the top off and then unscrew these little screws on the bottom. So the flight controller, all of the flight controller and the tower, that includes the OSD, would pop out. I really can't see any other way. The other thing that also happened is that after a couple of crashes, I would get the props breaking. Luckily they would break just on one side, so I could just break the other side and have a dual prop rather than a quad prop. But yeah, a little bit annoying. Don't really know how that happened because it's supposed to be all protected, but what I'm guessing is that these are very fragile, so maybe while hitting the floor, I don't know, the spin was too much, or I don't really know. Now, as for the batteries, I tried different type of batteries. The one that comes with it, so 7.4 volts, 450 milliamps, seems to be the best. I've also tried with the Nanotech 850 milliamps, 25 to 50 C. It seems to be almost the same. I didn't notice a lot of difference in the flight time or flight duration, or the craft flying better or harder. And then I also tried some 800 milliamp, which are a bit bigger than these 850, and actually it was much harder to fly with this one. Also, I think it might have to have something to do with the overall weight. So the original battery weighs at 30 grams, while my Nanotech weighs at 48, and this one weighs at 52. So the more weight you add, the worse flight experience you're gonna have. Also, I didn't test 3S because I read from the supplier's site, so Banggood, that you need to change the motors for something a bit less with less kV. So this kV is 7500. I think you need to drop it down a lot more. I think there's other motors available that would allow 3S. And I think with the 3S, then this becomes an insane machine that would just explode midair. Maybe, I don't know. You'll have to do that. You'll have to try that, and let me know in the comments. And that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this review with Carlito. That's me. Please leave a like if you do enjoy. I'll be having this week on, week off, more reviews like this. And if you're not subscribed, why not subscribe? And here on the left hand side you should find more videos, so you can keep on watching YouTube. Thank you very much. I like you. Do you like me?